Good evening, everyone. For the first time in so many months, I am actually on time. I said 8 o'clock. I'm sure I said 8 o'clock on my announcement. Okay, so just bear with me very quickly, please. I'm just going to check on my phone to see if I am on live and I can see comments. Just wait. Hang on for a few seconds. I'll be very quick. So I can see comments. Otherwise, I'll just be talking to myself. Right. Okay. Where was I? Groups. I've noticed that there's quite a lot of people who have decided to join our group, and that's really great news. If you want free information and free, if you have questions that you want me to so yeah, I can see some people are some people have come. Otherwise, hey, we don't want to. No, we don't want to hear people. We don't want to hear me talking on the other side of the. Okay, right. So I can see. I'm trying to pop my phone so that I can see the comment. Oh, right. Okay. So, well, I'm just going to hang around for about an hour to find out if you have any questions for me for an hour. Some of you may come in and ask questions in chat, and then I'll answer them. And I don't know whether some of you may not want to ask questions in public. So if you want to do that, then maybe message me. But I think because I received so many messages, it's quite hard to keep track with the the questions that you ask. So if you really want to phone me and ask me instead of messaging me, then let me know. I can pop my on the link. I can pop my calendar, and maybe you can book an appointment. I have free slots, 15 minutes free slots for people who want to ask questions about their immigration, any immigration question you have. Okay, so I think while we're waiting for people to ask questions, because I know people are just watching, but they're not really asking questions. So thanks for joining me. I have Joseph, I have Arif, I think, Trish and Michelle and Erwin. Hello, Erwin. Thank you very much for all the help. So, okay, so I want to talk a little bit maybe about Brexit. Okay, some people are asking me what's happening with Brexit. Apparently, there's a rumor going on that you can't travel if you're an EU citizen. You can't travel anymore. You can't go outside the UK and then come back. They will, you would be stopped from coming into the UK because Brexit has already happened. As you know, Brexit. Well, not Brexit. Yes, Brexit. Finally, was finalized. Finally, was finalized on the 31st of January. And so from the 31st of January on to the, I think, December, there were two possible dates. December 2020, which is at the end of this year, or June 20, 2021. Okay, so those are the two dates. Those 2 dates are the what they call transition period. So transition period means the government is finalizing at the back. They have to organize things and make sure that when the transition period finishes, that means Britain is finally governing themselves away from Europe. No more trade, no more free movement of people and services and goods and so on. So it means that British government can do whatever it's like in a way, impose their own rules, come up with all their own rules on trade, on whatever else, how to govern people, I suppose. But the transition period means that everything, in a way, everything still stays the same where it affects you. So travel, if you are an EU citizen in the UK, or if you're still a British citizen living in Europe, then you can still come and go, as if Brexit hasn't happened. Okay, but obviously time goes so quickly, so that from now, I suppose, if you haven't done it already, up to the end of December, if you haven't applied for the settled or pre-settled status, if you are an EU citizen or a family member of an EU citizen, then you have to apply for the settled or pre-settled status, because if you don't, then comes the end of the transition period, which is the 31st of December or June, then it means that you will be an overstayer, and overstayer means you will be considered as an illegal immigrant even though you have lived in the UK for 20 years. Okay, the UK government won't care about that. Okay, although if you've lived here for 20 years and then suddenly you found, oh my goodness, I haven't applied for settled status or pre-settled status, and I haven't got any status already because the transition period has already finished and Britain has already left, finally concluded all the agreements from the European Union, and you found yourself an overstayer, and you have an enforcement people coming to get you, to detain you or send you back to wherever you're supposed to be a national of, then you can apply. You can still apply, even though it says you will be considered as an overstayer. But under the immigration rules, you should be able to apply to allow you to stay in the United Kingdom. I'm sure the UK government is not that harsh, although they're trying to say, well, you will be considered as an overstayer, but if you find yourself that you've lived in the UK for like 15 years, 20 years, and suddenly you forgot to apply for settled or pre-settled status, then I'm sure the UK government will have some discretion whether or not to allow you to stay. But I'm saying but because it's expensive. It is very, very expensive to apply for your status. If you change, I was going to say shift and change. If you change, if you shift from being a European citizen to applying to a status under the immigration rules, it will cost you about £2,000. Okay, 1,000 for immigration health surcharge, 1,052 current. These are current fees that you will be paying if you're applying now. I don't know whether next year they will increase it. Maybe they will increase it because they probably think, well, we can make some money from European citizens who need to shift from their status, pre-settled status, to indefinite leave to remain. We don't know. So, but if you apply now, then you'll be able to take advantage. Sorry, if you apply now under the immigration rules, it will cost you 1,000 for immigration surcharge, 1,052 for the home office fees. That doesn't include the lawyer's fees if you use a lawyer to apply for you. But if you apply under the pre-settled or settled scheme under the EU settlement scheme, it does not cost you anything. Okay, so it's free. You don't have to pay £1,000. You don't have to pay 1,052 home office fees. It's free, and all you have to do is go online under the EU settlement scheme, register. It's very straightforward. And if you find that you don't know what to do with how to make an application, call them. Okay, so there's a number there that says, well, this is my situation. I'm either a family member. I have a permanent residence card, but I don't want to apply for residence card. You know how, sorry, if you've been in the UK and you have this old permanent residence card what do you call it, permanent residence card sticker, because it used to be sticker, not the BRP for EU citizens. If you're a family member, I mean, they just put a sticker on your passport that says you're permanent resident. If you have that, then phone them and say, I don't have the residence card. What can I do? They are very, very helpful online. I mean, on the phone, they will tell you where to go, but you need to have an internet. So if you don't know how to use the internet, the computer, find someone who can help you, and they should be able to. It's really straightforward. Even a 10-year-old kid can do it for you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, lots of people are here. Good evening, Emilu, Guada, Bernadette. So So that's the thing about Brexit. The other thing that maybe that will apply to, I think, Emilu and Bernadette and some of those people who have acquired their residence card on the basis that their partner was a British citizen, and or they have this what is called derivative residence card, okay, or a card that's not actually a family member of an EU national. So either under Surinder Singh, I know that probably doesn't mean anything to you. I mean, that to me, it's like, what is that? If I hear it, if I heard that phrase, Surinder Singh. But it's basically if your partner is a British citizen who used to live in the EU, one of the EU countries, and and you lived there with him, and you decided to return to the UK, and so you applied for a residence card, and you were treated as a family member of an EU citizen, and you have that card. So in those cases, you can actually continue to hold the same card, but you can also phone them and ask them how you're going to apply for pre-settled status. Okay, so nothing changes, but you have to convert that before the end of this year. Okay, so they're saying, so there's two scenarios that may happen. So if there is a deal with the European Union, because although nothing has really been concluded, so if you ask me, I wouldn't know. Even the government don't know. Okay, they don't know whether there's a deal. They're still negotiating it, and there's the I would say tentative, okay, it's temporary date at the end of this year. And Boris Johnson said, well, we're not extending it. We're not extending. We're definitely leaving on the 31st of December. So I'll probably believe him because, you know, I'm sure he really wants the UK to have their own power and not be, you know, and not be part of Europe. So anyway, so 31st of December, but if they can't come up with a deal, then they have to notify the European Union that they want extension of the transition period. Okay, so it may be the June, it may be I don't know, if they decided to extend it longer than June 2021, then that can be extended, and so things will still be the same. All right, so if not, then December, definitely bear in mind December 2020. Yeah, December this year, Britain will no longer be part of Europe, and so you have to make sure you have your settled or pre-settled status. So yeah, so this is it. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.